we kind of took a look at the information from the state. And just to get a kind of a sense and an overview of where we're at. So today, most of what I want to spend time on is kind of looking at the needs assessment, which is a tool that we are going to send out to students, families, and staff in order to collect data and figure out what we need to do as a team or how we can kind of guide the movement of our community school. And last time, one of the things we wanted to do was break up into 3 groups or subgroups, which was community, school / family engagement, academics, I believe school climate was the 3rd one. So I gave you all a folder, and inside the folder there's a few things, but the main thing that I want to focus on is the needs assessment. The one on the left is one that I created from different needs assessment tools and questions that I've come across. And there, in that packet, there's 3. There's one that says students, another that says staff, and then the last one says families. So I would like for us to break up into 3 small groups, but before we do that, and then look at those and see if those questions are appropriate, if there are other questions that we could add, questions that we could take out. But inside the packet, I've also included, there's this handout that says school-wide needs assessment survey. Now this is another example that I found, which had, it's catered towards like more staff. So for the group that is focused on staff or school climate, that's going to be your biggest push. You'll look at the survey for the staff and see if there are questions that we might want to take out and replace with any of the ones from this example.
Are those 3 different, or?
Yes.
So when I was looking at them just before coming here.
They're different, but they're similar. So that's why I want to cater it towards the population that we're looking at. So for students, we might want to take out some of the questions that may not apply for what I created, or even make it student friendly. And then for staff, there may be questions that we might want to include that's not here, that'll give us a better picture of how we can support staff and families. There may be questions that are not on here that we could come up with together to include as well.
Okay.
So they don't have to look similar, but as long as it gives us enough data to get a big picture of what we need to work on. And also in here, it says the needs assessment toolkit. I think I sent that as an attachment as well. But where we would fall would be on step, where was it? Nope. Step 4, where it says surveys.
The folder?
Yeah, you didn't get a folder? I'll get yours. Step 4, it talks about, the tasks, develop surveys for key constituent groups, so that's what we're going to do today. For students, parents, teachers, administer the surveys and compile survey results. So our focus today is just to develop the surveys. And then the next step after we come up with the final survey questions would be figuring out how we're going to roll that out. But then it has some tips, like questions should be mostly closed-ended. We could do paper versus online, or we can do a combination of the 2. Again, vocabulary and language, so if it's for students, making sure that it's kid-friendly. And let's see. And then timing. I think timing wise, it's going to take a while because we have to figure out when we can get a lot of our families for like the family survey. For staff, it's a little bit easier. If we send it out electronically, then they'd be able to do it, at their leisure. But it's the families and students part that we would have to like think about how and when we'd be able to get that through. So, another thing in here that Miss Wolf actually gave us, and I just modified the things. So this is a way for us to kind of collect the information when we're working in our subgroups. And I kind of tried to put each of the subgroups in its own box so that we can take a look at and jot down the information. So it has the team members, the target population, describe the current status, the final goal, and how are we going to achieve the final goal, and how are we going to quantify the progress. So those are kind of some of the things as we're working in our small groups and moving on, we can really make sure that we collect information that we can add on to the notes, because if we're working up into smaller groups, everyone will get the notes from the other groups, but I think we all need to kind of know how it all comes back together to support what we're doing. So does anyone have is there a specific subgroup that you would want to?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, ma'am.
So this document right here is separate than when we're looking at the needs assessment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's just to jot down.
I don't know how we gonna merge this.
No, that's just to jot down any notes and things like that that we can capture. The needs assessment, you just look at the surveys according to whichever one you want to focus on.
Do
So
you
I'm
have this
yes.
electronically?
Do I have it electronically? That, yes. You want me to email it?
Well, yeah, we were also saying we can share this drive with
Ms. Wolf, I don't know if you want to share that. Because
Yeah.
I think, I didn't make a copy before I changed it.
That's totally okay.
I just thought about it today. I was like, uh-oh.
Do you want me to share it? Is there already like a drive for the CET?
It is, yes.
if you go under the shared drive, shared drive, there's a community engagement team, but we haven't added every.
Okay.
Let me find it right now.
I can do that while you're doing it.
You're gonna add?
Mhm.
Okay. And while she's doing that, we said just gonna get a list of who's going into which group.
And I have brain freeze, but then I'm like,
It's me, sorry.
oh, we're fine.
So with this would be, like, they would focus on the survey for the families, the academics, we can do students, and school climate, so we do staff.
Do you have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
Thought of that one.
Yeah.
I thought it was for the whole year.
That one.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I have to ask.
No worries. Cause I wasn't,
Lynn.
no.
Lynn.
Allen.
But you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. So you have we'll get you the survey. You have the surveys.
The three from the email, right?
Yeah.
We're giving feedback on these. Oh, this one?
Yeah, go ahead. This is all yours. Just making sure all the pieces are in there. So I guess students can be here, community here, and then staff here.
I mean, I think. Oh, the first one. Can we clarify access to resources, like what's connected?
For the first one.
Yeah.
So what kind of
Those are your
programs
children.
would help you have greater success in school? So the one thing about
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if they're depending on grade level, if the students completing the survey, things like.
So we just gotta keep in mind families, about what families would want
We're just getting ready for high
us
school.
as a school to bring.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
we can get rid of.
Somebody see.
That's all you know. Okay.
Should we go one by one? Yeah, then.
Yeah, we can do that.
No.
So the first one, I think is pretty comprehensive. I mean, it talks about, I think,
restorative
we
justice.
talk about
I mean, I don't know if
mental
it
health.
is specifically one of
Oh,
them,
It
but
could.
What
But it
kind of
doesn't
skills do
necessarily-
they want? Yeah.
It says access to
Another
resources, so I don't know
change,
if,
you know, like.
you know, like what does that
What do
mean?
you think? What do
You know, does that
they
basically
might
talking
understand
about
that they might need?
giving parents access to
So social
like a
skills.
food pantry? or-
Yeah, so I wrote
or
like
is it-
what?
Yeah, need examples.
Yeah, so for the first two, I also said, like, is it possible, math and science go hand in hand, but part of me thinks, should we put it separately though? Because perhaps some families are really like worried about their kids being able to do math because they can't, and other ones want them to have that
So
hands-on
maybe
science
get rid of
computer.
life.
So life
So that
skills.
was one of my feedback, but possibly
No, I think we
separated,
should
Keep it.
life skills, getting along
Separated
with others.
like from each other, just make math one and science the other one.
Yeah.
And yeah, as far as access to resources, I was thinking like what? Even mental health services, I feel like maybe like an IE could be put in there, like, because that could look technically
Yeah.
potentially different ways, like, because it could be counseling, or social work,
Yeah,
or
that's our thing.
like group things versus individualized. I don't know if that's necessary, but
So like I was even thinking about,
So put social and emotional.
even though
Yeah.
like programs that help parents help their children, like that can be so broad because you could be talking about
right.
is it if they need help, if their child might have like a learning disability or something.
So they want help with like writing IEPs, or do they want help with like
these
discipline,
are
or with
things
like
that
helping with reading? Like those are all different.
No, they're not thinking about.
I'm trying to think.
Totally different.
You're dealing with a lot
I'm
of
not sure if they have
cyber
that's, I'm thinking
bullying,
that's gotta be.
you know, parents just.
I think that would be
Yeah.
social and emotional. So
You're right. Mom, I would
they were
have loved to have had some
Yeah.
classes on just what to expect
Emotional
when you have, they go from, you know, becoming a teen, or, you know, going through puberty and stuff like.
crossover.
Yeah, so I think this one is real broad, we need
I mean, I
to,
know it says access, but what kind of resources, like possibly?
Maybe like subtopic it out.
Literacy program, it could be tutor, tutoring.
Yeah, once you get back into the facilities down at School 10, you're going to have that whole section of the school that can be set up for community events, and so hopefully you can set up
Math and science.
some programs to try to get
Internet.
parents involved so that they know what
Technology
things are available to them, and that would really
But it's just
be
a community, so.
a plus from the
community
standpoint
and-
of getting them involved in the first place, you know, have them come in for specific programs that you think would be of interest to them, but that gets them involved with the school, you can find out, who might be interested in what.
I was thinking, what if we also, like, it doesn't say anything about enrichment or extracurricular activities? I know that,
But I know that was in
is
one
that
of the
something
No,
that,
I think
examples
it's,
that
like,
I
a
saw.
community
good.
school
So
would,
maybe
Like,
where
it
there was
has
a
the student,
after-school program or
that's more
rec
like
center? I mean,
extra help for them.
think
but it's
that
more
may
like
be
the
something
parents
that-
might need it, only because,
Well, then it could stay on the parents one.
before
Yeah.
and after care, I don't know. Is that,
Yeah, and that's not a,
Yeah, in the end, there's only.
well, that's why we wanna, this is the needs assessment, we wanna ask families.
Physical.
Oh, we're designing a questionnaire.
Yeah,
Okay.
design. So this is kind of a blanket one that Joyce
so I think
picked
a
up,
lot
so
goes
we
under
need to
those
modify, and our
categories that you
focus
could
is
Yeah.
on the family.
Well, you want to give examples of
So,
behavior management.
Yours look different.
But that would go under reading.
he just copied his
Probably.
own.
Reading and language.
I'm assuming
Are you
Joyce
talking
has
about
a
the
folder for you
Warner
too.
program?
No, I printed
in
this out.
general,
Yeah,
like,
so he
I
printed
think
it.
anything else we figure out could
Late
fit into one of
prepared.
these,
Yeah.
you know?
Like in front.
Now, one of the things that we had talked with the neighborhood service centers, Daisy Algren
No, you were just supposed to look.
has offered to
What
talk
did you
with
think
the
of it?
various schools about what the neighborhood service centers might be able to do.
No, that's okay.
That might
No,
be
it was
something
just
that you
more
could
than-
have, an event for parents to come in
What do you like
and
about the school? Or
have somebody from the neighborhood service center talk about services that they can offer, because they can get code enforcement officers involved
I
in
think
terms
just
of
overall.
rental
Is that a
properties.
sub
Yeah.
of the 19th floor?
It's, no, it's part of the city. It's a city function.
There are
Daisy Algren
They don't, this is.
is the director in charge of all the neighborhood service centers,
Well,
and
Students think about.
You said Daisy Alger?
Daisy,
Like, oh, I see.
But their office is over on Tennessee Street,
Okay.
just
No, I like,
north
what do you like about your
of,
school?
Brooks.
Well, this is gonna be interesting because when the superintendent was talking last night, one of the things that he brought up was how they're gonna start looking at the different schools and like rezoning, so we are citywide right now, but that could very well end up being a neighborhood.
So how could we work?
yeah, that would be,
What are
What
some
would make
things?
that would be
school
good
better.
for,
So does the 19th ward, do they have, like data on like how many school-age children live in the area?
No, we haven't, I don't have that. That's something that
What do you see
the
as
district
something-
should have.
We actually,
That's good. I'll get rid of
have
would just say
a
what-
report since our last
Mhm.
meeting. We
what is something arts for?
did come up with a map of the whole, and we found out that just from our school where our kids come from, and we do
Oh,
have a
good.
lot of them that are in like the 19th ward.
So we had a decent chunk around there,
Yeah,
but
but there's still
They're
quite
still
a
all
few
over.
pockets all
Oh,
over the
sure,
place.
they come from.
Like we even have
and
some
the-
that are like
and the census
down here.
data,
Yeah.
assuming that the census data could be available, it's by definition almost 10 years old now. So
Time to-
coming up next year, it'll be fresh information. But
Yeah,
looking
but
at
that's
stuff
okay,
from
that's
10
what
years
we-
ago isn't
How
going to
can-
tell you much.
What did you say?
How can it happen?
But it's also hard to tell, like, even though there may be a chunk of students in the neighborhood by the school, they could be going to urban suburban or charter schools, so it's hard to truly know. Should we move on to, so it asks, what do you like about the school, community, and neighborhood? Such a,
Yeah.
there could be 3 different questions.
yeah.
I know they're trying
Or-
to keep it concise, probably.
Yeah, probably, so they could choose
Along the lines of,
one, all, or none. So I
What do
kind
you
of like
enjoy
it.
most about your school?
Did you get four?
Like, so we can get feedback of like, what it is that.
I said, what don't you like? So, I mean, that was a pretty standard, would you want to ask, I'd extend the line a little longer. What do you envision for the school community?
What do you enjoy?
That's pretty open-ended, you know, you get an array of answers. What can we do to bring this
What do you
vision to
enjoy
life?
In our folders.
Thanks. No, you found it.
What activities for adults? would you
Yeah,
like
what do you
to
enjoy
see
most?
at your Okay. Did we even ask this question about the students though? Well, maybe this is for families.
This is a
Family.
What is the,
Well,
it could be athletics, what extracurriculars, music
Yeah,
program, you know, yeah.
Because they could probably say
Saturday
yoga.
Having like, what is that van that comes
So
with all
the one thing I
sports
thought, as
stuff?
far as what can we do to bring this to life, I wonder if this could be patched or something. Like, one of them
I
is,
used to see it in the park next.
Are you
to the
willing to
school
talk
before,
or something?
Yeah.
and are you willing to work with us, but like maybe a blanket one, like, is there something you specifically would like to offer? Like, if there is a yoga teacher, like, as a parent, wants to come in and like, would love to do that, I don't know, I'm just thinking.
Oh, yeah. So we
Not
could
like a
say
mandatory
as a
question,
community
but
member.
what is, like, as a family member, is there something you'd like to offer?
like to be involved.
Does that sound?
Yeah, you've got the Southwest YMCA that's on Thurston there that you might be able to get involved with the school. I know
Family.
they're looking at getting involved in School 16, you know, again,
Yeah,
we've got to try to draw local resources as much as possible to get involved with all of our schools.
Art.
science. Comes with that.
So does 16 have a rec center attached to it or?
No.
No.
Change that
Yes,
But 19
there-
does.
I
19.
don't like when they were.
Four,
Yeah,
does
19,
No, but you never
4
know.
doesn't, 2 doesn't.
We could leave a
The
blank out.
School 3 has the Adams Street
Other-
Center
Like,
tied
oh,
to
they're-
it.
they
Two
come up
doesn't
with
have
their
two?
own-
Got a rec center. They don't have a rec center?
That's not rare
How about
enough.
in Madison and, well, what used to be Madison, what do they call it now?
Wilson Foundation.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, they've got a pool, but they don't,
They have like
there's Swan
Swan,
there
yeah.
that, which is, you know, on a little shaky ground, but they've been offering a lot of after-school services as much as they can, because
Well, I know 3, 6, they have the Chromebooks.
So this
We
is,
send it to them,
should we
then we can
maybe talk about, do you think, is any other questions?
One, but I apologize.
No, it's okay.
My car is
But
in shop.
the younger kids, it would probably be a one.
Did
When I
anybody
did ELT
think that
at,
asking
School
about
22,
specific
like
barriers,
for the younger kids, I try to make it
in a very general way, be useful? I pulled this from another parent survey that I thought that would be really helpful to know, rather than great ideas, but are,
You, we could
sometimes-
for the,
So, scheduling conflicts and interesting, and whether or not you want to include it. Attitudes of other parents. Are they concerned about?
I like that.
So I just thought that would be informative if they would answer that kind of question. Yeah. And then the other last one was, again, is seeing this as a sort of wishful, getting an aspirational survey as opposed to an evaluative survey. Right. Do we want to include just a general, would you like to be contacted by someone at the school about any concern that you have? So just for people who don't necessarily want to put it down or don't know how to say it, but are disgruntled. And, and whether that could be offloaded to
Well, can they do it like
a community service in some way, but I would think that might be useful to know, like somebody who just, because
yeah.
if they have a concern, right, you know, these kinds of, the rest of the questions might be, they might have a barrier to thinking about aspirational ideas if they've just got a, you know, something in
They
there
had Santa. They had other people representing.
that they can't want dealt with, but we don't want to ask a lot of evaluative questions, so that would just be a way to ask them that, right, opens the door but doesn't create, you know, an issue for the survey with bringing up odds and other things like that. It just was an idea.
Yeah, one of the things they brought up at that community school
But, but, you know.
forum that we went to was the fact that what you'd like to do
Some people bring
in these neighborhoods is to look for the strengths that the neighborhood has rather than looking at it as the weak point, what's wrong with it, you know, and that might be a good way to get parents talking if we can get them to come in and, you know, one of the questions that would be good for them to look at is what are some of the strengths in the neighborhood that we might draw on for the school.
They need 3, so I'll give you 3 more.
3 more minutes,
Yeah, and then we'll
okay.
kind of share out.
Well, that's the whole approach to the assets
Yeah.
model is figure out what you have, not what you wish you had.
And that's about like what number 3 gets at, right? Yeah, we asked that, yeah.
Because I know there are some, like I know there's a dentist on Thurston down towards the southern end. There's,
Isn't it Carl?
they're somewhere near not too far from the Y. But, and there are various medical services here and there, and whatever we can do to highlight those things for parents in the school, and they might even be interested in coming and talking sometime. Most of them, I'm sure, are stressed out trying to cover all the bases they've got, but
And that's something we could do with the 94 Community Association.
Yeah.
We can focus on that. Anyway, survey.
This is on a side note, and I just need to put that out there that Deborah Washington, she used to be the assistant principal here, so now she's the principal over at number 3. Has she contacted you?
I've contacted her. I've kept track of her. I know she's
Okay.
over there.
So, you know, she was so proud to let me know that her new school, Cornhill Association, furnished her parent room with furniture and all types of goodies. So I was like, well, I know the 19th ward is going to do the same for us when we.
Well, I'm glad that the Cornhill group has gotten involved with that, because they are flush with cash. You know, Cornhill Neighbors Association. We've been trying to get them involved with School 3 for some time now. And
Well,
it's
they
nice.
got the right person.
It's nice to hear that it's happening.
She would drain them dry, won't she? Not like that. I don't mean like that.
I meant, like, I'm just picturing Mrs. Washington asking him for a few things.
Yeah.
That's one I missed, I feel bad about.
No, we were just thinking like some things might need examples or separate down together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's, the thing that, for instance, tomorrow night, the 19th Ward Community Association has its Delegates Council. At some point during, they're always on the on the second Thursday. At some point, it would be good for you or somebody from this school to go there and just say hi, from School 10, and just wanted to let you know that we're coming back next year and we want to be as involved with the association as possible. We're having the 19th Ward Community Association, their convention, which is going to be the 22nd, is going to be at School 16. And we've offered to try to get teachers involved and, free membership to the association. If they don't live in the 19th Ward, they can't vote, but they can get on the list and get mailings and know what's going on. Fortunately, we're getting all these schools that were in receivership to be community schools, so we got to take advantage of that and try to get them as involved. You do have the luxury that the 19th Ward Community Association is one of the most democratic in terms that they really tried to reach out to all the neighborhoods,
Joyce, can I go
all
first?
the areas within the 19th Ward. They are very active. They raise all the money themselves for what they do. Square Fair is one of the big events. They're not as flush with cash as Corn Hill is, but anything that you can do with them and they can do with you is growing the association is a big plus. So that's one of the things I've been trying to get people to think of. The schools in the neighborhood are one of the big assets and one of the community building assets. And the associations can help the schools grow their programs, so the more interaction we get, the better.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Joyce, you ready for us to share out?
You want me to go ahead?
You want me
You
to
ready to
take
start, or did you want
the
to?
minutes? Oh, no,
No? Okay.
go ahead.
So we basically, if this is for students, kids, thinking of, we broke it down for K2 and then 3-6. K2 being more of a class consensus survey where the teacher guides it and you get a group, kind of like a survey tally result kind of effect. So we took away some of the more of the parent-teacher stuff and the community aspect of it and made it more school environment. Basic needs, academic needs, health, nutrition, life skills, technology, and social emotional. We also thought that an incentive to get the data in quicker is doing a raffle at the Winter Wonderland event.
For survey completion.
Yeah, to get it done. We added a few other things, like what do you enjoy most about your school? What do you think your school might need? What could make your school better? So just more from a child's perspective. Also, what extracurricular activities would you like to be more involved in?
You did the student one?
Yes.
Oh, I'm typing in the wrong. Okay.
Oh, you're typing. Well, do you
I'm
want,
trying
do you
to.
want to look
Oh,
at
no,
the, turn that up
bad
there?
for me.
For the,
Would you like to look at the notes? Because that'll make it way...
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were typing.
No, it's okay. I'm
I'm
gonna
like
grab it.
flying away.
You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay, so when we talked about the families, our question one was about what programs and services do you think would help your children? I'm stuck on it. Is that the same? So we pretty much had the same, we thought providing all of the list that was there, but we talked about maybe separating some of them, like I had math and science program, but just putting like math program and science program separately so parents are able to,
distinguish between.
distinguish. We also said that it might be helpful if we provided some examples for some, because when it says have access to resources, like what do you mean? Are you talking about a food cupboard, or do you need resources for housing, or did that didn't really think, because we're elementary, that college and career readiness programs, but I mean we can take it out, or
Joyce,
we
is that
also
your-
talked about being able to share drive, and there's a community engagement. I think We talked about maybe having some type of enrichments or adding extracurricular activities, or also before and after care. Some parents may need before and after care. So we liked, there were questions, what do you like about the school, community, and neighborhood? What don't you like? So we agreed with that. There's also something about what do you envision for the school, and then how do you foresee that coming to life? And asked if there were any activities that they felt the school should offer for adults. So wanted to make sure we gave that. But then we also wanted to, Sarah suggested this, that we ask how often does the following keep you from being involved in the school? So like, you know, you would rate either never, rarely, occasional, usually, always, or not applicable. And you could do like anywhere from childcare, transportation, work. And then we also talked about, would you like to be contacted? Because sometimes, you know, just kind of offer that friendly advice. I got all the notes, so we can go in here.
So I can update it.
And then Becky, I know I'm just rambling, but Becky also suggested that as a family member, are you able or willing to offer services? So we want to know what, you know.
Like say you're a lawyer or something and you want
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
offer counsel or something.
Or you're the art teacher and you want to provide after school.
Or if you're a yoga teacher, you want to do yoga, yeah.
Y'all still need more time? You want me to continue?
We kind of went about this the wrong way, but we kind of just answer the questions as staff. We, looking at number one, I guess what we chose for mental health services, we wanted more specific who would do this, who would be involved in the mental health services. And then for the technology, we said be more specific with the info that they're providing. And then we agreed with, you know, number three, the question.
Yeah, all of the questions seem to be fine. The other question that we might want to ask staff is maybe like what PD would they want to be provided specifically? Yeah. So like a little bit more say and how they can better improve their own instruction and what could be provided to them within the school. But really, basically what everyone else said, like we agreed that like the college and career readiness program didn't really apply to us, and just to be more specific with the different programs that we were stating in those options, because it just would paint a clearer picture.
Can I ask the question, when you talk about different time, and I recognize the fact that, you know, we're elementary school, however, I think it's important to, at some point, to set the mindset that, you know, you should be looking
Absolutely,
towards
no,
college.
yes, I agree with that.
And that, you know, and I'm thinking back as my daughter was in elementary, you know, she had access to MCC and different programs that they offer, you know, through the college, like STEP program and different things that eventually it was a growth period that, so I personally think it's exposure is good in some type of way to, you know, let them, to families, even, you know, parents going back to school, you know, continuing ed. So I don't want to leave it completely out, but you know, I do want to.
I do know that Aisha and
Jessica?
have also figured out a way to go onto NWA and actually figure out for the sixth graders what their college readiness is based off of their NWA score. So
They print there's a report you can print.
So you can print it. So I'm wondering if like starting at like, you know, a certain grade level, that would be appropriate.
Especially before transition.
But, you know, having that said that, you know, like some of our students who are in first grade, second grade, they have no idea what these numbers even mean. Like, I'll be like, do you know why we're sitting here? No. Well, you're sitting here because you have an IEP. Oh, what's that? So I go through like the whole process of, okay, this is what an IEP is. This is, you know, why I'm sitting here with you. And some of our kids don't even understand the reason why they're sitting in front of us. So I think going with what Ms. Ogden. I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody. Ms. Ogden said is, you know, starting at a certain point, I think that they need to start having some of those conversations with their teacher, their parents, but I don't think that we need to start it at like.
No, I wouldn't reason,
so like,
you know.
Right.
Yeah, so like I would say
Like
probably
5th and 6th grade.
Yeah, I would say 5th and 6th grade, and even having the conversation of what those scores actually mean, you know, even before that.
You could bring it back to like some type of a career fair for the kids, like what their interests are. And then I know the 6th graders, they have that convention every year where all the schools go and they can go and look at some of the programs. But maybe we could reach out more to the 6th graders with, I know sometimes they go on field trips and they'll go to a few schools, but they really don't know a lot about every school, and they ask a lot of questions about, do you know a school that has this program or that program? And we don't even know all the programs, unfortunately, but.
It would be nice to bring back, we like studied the different schools at one point as one of our expeditions, but when we moved away from that, that was part of that, we moved away. But it would be nice to bring that back in some way.
Somehow incorporate it into the.
Also to piggyback off the whole idea, I feel like if we're getting more community involvement and engagement, that if colleges or the campuses are offering different things, I feel like that's also a way, like that's not necessarily college and career ready, but like I know in 4th grade, I was offered a position like at a science camp at U of R. So like I wasn't going, I didn't think it was college, like I knew it was a college, and so like introduced my brain to that idea, but I was going there for science camp. And I think like the girls that went to the RIT engineering, like so it may not be like a tick mark of college and career ready, because they are young, but to have the exposure to that, there's so many things. Like every year in my own room or when I work with classes, like our groups are often named after the local colleges. Because I just want the kids to know, like they're out there, and some of them give them like full rides at this point if they do well as a city school child. So like that's kind of like my way of like, just like, it's a really small, tiny piece of the day, but like 5th grade this year, like the room I'm in, we have college named groups, and I tell them why at the beginning. This is why, like this is the college where Miss McHugh went, this is the college that I went to, and these two have like opportunities for you. So like whatever the case may be, just like the piggyback off. So it may not be like a tick mark, but still in our everyday.
Because, and Edison, I think it's Edison, that's one of the schools within Edison, I think, provides.
P-Tech.
P-Tech, yes, college, you know, so coming out of 6th grade with the focus of this is where I need to go because I have the possibility of getting a college, you know.
Credits. Well, I think you are hitting that we need to, because I don't even know if, like 6th grade, we probably should be talking to students about the different courses, like you can take AP courses. Like I didn't know what that was in high school. So you know I'm in
So the next, well, there's 2 other things really quickly. I think we kind of incorporated the pluses and deltas from last week's meeting, which was breaking up into some groups. And so the next step is me taking the information that you guys provided in regards to the survey and making those modifications. Then I'll send the links back out to you, and then you can kind of review it. Let's say give it a week for feedback from you all once I'm done, and then once I hear back from you all, then I can at least start with the staff, because that's going to be the fastest, quickest collection of data that we can collect. Send out the staff surveys, and then for families, when they come to pick up their kids early, we could possibly get them then, and any other upcoming events, we can do that as well. And with students, especially with the 3-6, because of Chromebooks, we'd be able to really have them do the surveys during the day so that we can collect it. But definitely the families, I think the best way to reach them is whenever they either come to pick up their kids or any events and programs that are coming up. The next one will be the health fair on the 21st, and then
We have our Thanksgiving.
the Thanksgiving, but that's during the day, so at least whoever, we can catch them then as well.
If we had it set up, we could probably do the surveys on a computer. And that could be something that they, take a station and hit in the computer lab, or, we have something set up.
So definitely try to do that during the health fair and the Thanksgiving celebration. So collectively adulthood, and then we'll be done. Wow, time. Yeah, team.
And make sure you let me know when you turn the camera so I can sit up straight. Can't catch me off.
So what worked well for today?
For today,
Mm-hmm.
subgroups,
Division of labor.
Yeah.
I like how we say collaboration.
Yeah. Well, I also think it was helpful that you had the different materials that were provided. So we were able to just, get a sample and then tweak it or adjust it.
And what can we change for next time?
I think just letting people know about we just added people's names to the agenda, so, being able to have the agenda beforehand would probably be helpful. Come prepared.
As far as what are we gonna do next time, hopefully we'll have some data to look at with the surveys from the staff. So we'll be able to kind of look at it and analyze it. And there's been a couple of things that I've seen, like root causes or data analysis that we can kind of briefly go through before we break up into another set of subgroups.
Do we have enough feedback from parents? I know we have a few. That
The communication survey?
communicate, that we can have some type of data shared.
Yes, so I'll put that next time. What I've done is, I think it's about 30 families that have completed a communication survey, just trying to see how best they want the school to communicate with them. So I can share that data the next time we meet, which has been helpful in relation to the website or robocalls or things like that that we could possibly improve on. Yes.
One other in the toolkit that you sent to us, it talks about archive data. If there's any other surveys or information that parents have provided, or teachers or students that indicate, what areas they most want addressed, if any of that data exists, that'd be great to have a link to it or see it.
That's not necessarily adulting.
No, but I will.
No,
it's
It's on a piece of paper.
I know it's me, I type word.
I'm like, I'll copy and paste it onto the.
Oh, sorry.
That was just like step 1 or 2 out of that process. And going online to the school district, there's just nothing as far as data about all the problems they talk about. I mean, you look at survey or student needs, and all you see are schools planning to get that data, but never is there any results of any of the data of all these plans to collect it provided anywhere on the school district website at least.
Yeah, I don't know if they've gotten to the public,
But even in the past, they talk about it from 2015, and that these plans were made to collect this data, and it's like it was all just planned, but never
Implemented.
And that's something that we can keep in mind too when we collect the data and the information, because our community school needs to be public.
17 must have collected data when
They did. I don't know where they put it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But I know they did collect a lot of data. Because I know that the community school for summit from this summer, we saw 17 presented on how their community school model worked and things like that. So if I have some of those things I can share, but a lot of it, I know they said it's public, I just don't know where.
Yeah, well, they don't need it.
Yeah,
Then we all just reinvent the wheel.
yeah, that is very true. No, you're fine. But another is, where I actually pulled the toolkit from, came from the National Center for Community Schools. So that usually provides some great resources as well. It just, had all these worksheets, but it doesn't have the link to the worksheet.
Refers to them, right?
Exactly, so, and they have like different things that you can kind of look at, but a lot of their work is out of New York City and I think different places as well. But that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I think the next meeting is December 11th. Yes, December 11th. That's my daddy's birthday.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to, we had Daisy Algren come in and talk at the Southwest Common Council, I think it was in August. But I'll send you the link to that because she gave a nice overview of what they were thinking of possibly doing.
Okay, but the meeting's tomorrow?
Oh, no, that's the 19th Ward Community Association. Yeah, there is a meeting tomorrow, but I'd just say, probably be good to stop by the convention on the 22nd. And
November?
November, yeah.
Here, I'm afraid I'm going to grab my coat.
Sure.
They'll have food, yes. Hey.
Is there registration?
Yeah, you can register and probably wouldn't hurt to join the association since it's a free membership. What more can you want?
There are not many of those anymore.
Not many of those anymore.
I've been in a while.
You just have to work your head off as a teacher.
Our chief is here.
But you're gonna do that anyway.
Oh, yeah, I wear that hard hat.